Energy Star program has worked with ASHI and its members going on now for 20 years, and we are thrilled to be working with your CAP on another energy and water survey to update the Energy Star scores for GMS hospitals and medical offices. And I should point out that the ASHI CAP has also worked with a BOMA Healthcare Real Estate Committee to formulate questions on part of the survey that covers medical office buildings. So the survey has, I think, truly been a collaborative effort across multiple organizations. So thank you, everybody, for attending today. Well, it looks like it seems to...
Here you go, Clark. Passing the ball to you, and then you can change the slide too.
Oh, great. Okay, I'm a presenter now. Okay, thank you, son. So yeah, here is a quick agenda on what we're going to cover for the next, probably not a total hour, but basically I'd like to provide a little background on the Energy Star program, about Portfolio Manager, so the benchmarking numbers that we've been receiving on hospitals and other healthcare building types, how we actually develop an Energy Star score, what we think makes a survey successful, the timeline that we're operating under, and then some of the survey recruitment tips. I know the purpose of this webinar is to inform a lot of the chapter leadership across the country about this survey so that you can go to your chapter members to pitch this survey. And I'll be providing you some background and reasons why it is very important to ASHI as well as your members about why these surveys need to be taken over the next several months. So with that, let's kind of dive in here. I'm not sure why it defaults back to a vertical sun. Is this something that you can fix? Because if I have to do this with every slide, that's going to be a little challenging. Okay, so roughly 35% of Fortune 500 and half of the Fortune 100 companies are working with EPA to improve financial value, to boost their bottom line, and manage risk by improving their building's energy performance through this program. 8 of the 10 largest U.S. healthcare organizations, major league sports teams, colleges, universities, small businesses, and entire cities are working with EPA's Energy Star program. And in total, there's more than 6,000 organizations that we work with to make their properties more energy efficient. So, like your hospital, EPA has a brand that we can try to strengthen and make more credible in the public eye. And over the past 20 years, Energy Star has steadily increased its influence and has recently tied with the Good Housekeeping Seal of Approval to become one of 2 of the most trusted brands among consumers. And we know research tells us that 85% of the public recognizes the Energy Star as a symbol for energy efficiency, and 92% say that it influences their purchase of products as well. I guess I'm going to get really good at doing this really quickly. All right. So the Energy Star score for a building is much like a miles per gallon metric for a car, right? We all know that 60 miles per gallon is pretty good fuel efficiency for an automobile. Fairly common knowledge, but is 450 kBtu per square foot per year high or low for a hospital? What the Energy Star score does is actually gives us context. It tells us whether that's high or low or average. And the Portfolio Manager provides ENERGY STAR scores on over 15 different commercial building types. And, of course, these include hospitals and medical offices and senior care communities as well. Other building types that don't have ENERGY STAR scores, say specialty hospitals, they can still benchmark in Portfolio Manager, but they'll get an energy use intensity in kBTUs per square foot, and that is compared to a national median EUI as found in the Commercial Building Energy Consumption Survey. So the gold standard for benchmarking is an ENERGY STAR score, and ASHI has worked hard to ensure that EPA can offer them through surveys much like this one that's underway. Okay, so knowing your place on a scale helps you communicate performance in a way that even non-engineers can understand, like those in senior management. So sharing that your hospital has an ENERGY STAR score of, say, 35 is more likely to gain the attention of your CFO than saying that the hospital is using 350 kBTUs per square foot per year. Context is everything, and peer group comparison is what these scores give you. And ENERGY STAR is not only a peer group comparison, it's a goal too. And if earning the ENERGY STAR is your goal, then your score can tell you how long your journey will be. So do you have a baseline score of a 65? Great, then it's going to be a relatively shorter journey to a 75 compared to one where your baseline is only, a 25, for instance. All right, so ENERGY STAR provides recognition for top-performing buildings with certification, for new building designs that are expected to earn the ENERGY STAR. We provide recognition for buildings that compete to reduce energy in our Battle of the Buildings, and for partnering organizations that have outstanding energy management programs, what we call our ENERGY STAR Partner of the Year Award. We certainly rely on ENERGY STAR scores to gauge environmental leadership, and so do a lot of other organizations as well. ASHI, for instance, of course, uses ENERGY STAR scores to measure energy to care improvement. We've seen other ASHI chapters like TAFM and the Ohio Hospital Association use ENERGY STAR scores to measure their environmental achievement with their contests. Practice Green Health uses ENERGY STAR scores for their awards. USGBC and the 2030 Challenge also rely on ENERGY STAR scores as well. In fact, we know ASHI has recently announced that it would like to see its hospitals earn another 300 ENERGY STAR certifications over the next 4 years. There are currently 244 ENERGY STAR certified hospitals now all over the country. By the end of 2020, ASHI would like to see a total of 530 hospitals with this designation. ENERGY STAR certification means that these hospitals are using 35% less energy than typical hospitals without any loss of comfort, and that savings, as we all know, goes directly to the bottom line. ASHI is very interested in ENERGY STAR scores because its members are. All right, let's talk about some of the benchmarking numbers that we have been receiving fairly recently. You already know how important it is to track your energy performance, to compare yourself against yourself or to your peers over time, to set goals, to manage day-to-day operations according to measurable data. It's certainly important because we know it's reflected right here in these numbers. Over 85% of the hospital market in terms of square footage have benchmarked in this free benchmarking tool. Portfolio Manager, as we can see, is effectively the industry standard for determining the energy efficiency of hospitals and medical office buildings, as well as many other building types in the U.S. you can see back in 2001 on that graph that we first launched the hospital rating in 2001, and we updated it again in 2008, actually in 2011 with 2008 data. It's time to update these algorithms again so that we can ensure that our benchmark is keeping up with changes in the marketplace. And we are especially interested in updating the medical office benchmark because it is currently based on 1999 data. And our research in 2012 led us to pull the certification for medical office buildings in 2013 because we saw that a lot of the changes happening to medical office buildings were very significantly different from operations back in 1999. So ASHI and BOMA are encouraging their members to fill out surveys on their facilities as well as specialty hospitals and other spaces, since we could expand the ENERGY STAR to these spaces as well if we get enough data. Okay, so just some information that we have received from Portfolio Manager. When we did a study in 2012, we looked at 35,000 buildings that had been benchmarking consistently in Portfolio Manager between 2008 and 2011. And the simple question that we asked at that time was, do buildings that benchmark actually save energy over time? And we are very happy to announce that the answer is yes. And you can see hospitals over that period of time. 2008 is the baseline year, so 2009 through 2011, 3 years of change. Over that time, we saw that hospitals were saving, on average, 0.66% per year of their energy. So that's what we consider to be sort of the national average. If you're curious to find out what's a good goal for saving energy in your hospital, Portfolio Manager can tell you based on this particular report. All right, well, let's go to how we develop an ENERGY STAR score. Okay, so with thousands of users in Portfolio Manager, many people often ask how we create a score, and we basically develop a score based on anonymous survey data given to us by associations like ASHI or from the Commercial Building Energy Consumption Survey, which is put out by DOE. And we analyze the data and we apply filters to ensure that there's a robust data set. We then develop a statistical regression model to predict energy use for specific spaces based on source energy use, typically in kBTUs per square foot per year. So at the end of this graph, when you input your specific operational characteristics of your hospital or a MOB into Portfolio Manager, the tool then predicts the energy use of that building and then assigns a score based on your actual energy use. So energy consumption that is lower than the predicted gets a higher score, and energy consumption that is higher than predicted gets a lower score. So some of the key principles of the score are that it's based on actual energy use for all fuel types. There's no extrapolations, there's no estimates. Everything is traced back to the utility bills. And it's a whole building measure of performance, not individual equipment efficiency. There's lots of interactions that happen between building components, and you may have, a particularly energy efficient piece of equipment, but if it's not interacting with other building components, you don't get those savings. So this is a whole building measure of performance, and it normalizes for weather and operational differences, so buildings can be compared across different climate zones. And then finally, it's a peer group comparison. Just by your number on that scale, that 1 to 100 scale, it tells you how you compare to your peer group. So if you are a 40, an ENERGY STAR score of 40, that means your facility is performing better than 40% of its peers across the country. And on the flip side, 60% of facilities are performing better than that particular facility. Okay, so the survey that is out goes beyond energy, and it collects water data as well. And we first started allowing portfolio manager users to track their water consumption back in 2006 because saving water helps buildings save energy too. We know that 8% of a building's energy goes toward heating water for things like mechanical systems, like HVAC and steam systems, commercial kitchen equipment, and things like laundry. So there's a good reason to look at water as well. And that fact isn't lost on portfolio manager users because today almost half of the accounts that we see are tracking water. And there's a strong push by many to have EPA develop a water score like we do for energy. And we've been working with our Office of Water, the folks who oversee the WaterSense label, designating water-efficient products, and they're considering developing a water score for multifamily housing. And if this goes through, then they'd likely be interested in doing it for other building types, like hospitals, provided that they have the data. So that's a new feature compared to the other ASHE survey that we saw several years back. So, so what makes a survey successful? Well, we need to have a large number of facilities. So as you see, the goal that we have here is collecting 370 surveys from GMS hospitals, general medical and surgical hospitals, and another 370 surveys from medical office buildings. And currently, ASHE informs me that we have about 33% of our goal accomplished in terms of hospital surveys, and almost 60% of the goal accomplished for medical office building surveys. So we've got a really good start, but we're also looking for not only a large number, but from a diverse group of facilities as well, and we define that by ownership as well as geography. So we'd love to be able to have a representative data from hospitals and medical office buildings from all of the 8 climate regions across the country. And one thing that's really important too is that in filling out surveys, you need to get to the message across to your colleagues that all of the questions need to be answered. We can't, if there are skipped questions, then ASHE is going to call them back to see if they can be filled out, and if for some reason they can't, there's another spot in the back of the survey that you can explain maybe why that data wasn't being able to be provided. But we need complete energy data, and we certainly need all values from operational inputs in Portfolio Manager. Okay, let's look at the survey timeline, just to give you an idea of how far we've come over the time. We first began talking about this new survey last spring, and it went through several months of actually drafting and redrafting and using all the expertise in the ASHE CAP that is led by Michael Hatton. And the survey was issued on September 1. And the current, the deadline for submitting surveys now is April 28th. It's gone through a couple slips over time, but the current one is late April. And once we get that full data later on this summer, then we will begin analysis and start sharing what that new hospital model will be with ASHE. And we hope to update both of those models in spring or summer of 2018. And if we can expand to other space types as well, then we'll do it likely at that time as well. Okay, did I just, yeah, so what makes a survey successful? And let me go to this next one here. So I want to be clear that, to use a sports metaphor, that an ENERGY STAR score for this effort is not a slam dunk. It's not a guaranteed outcome of this effort. We all want to see this become a reality, and all of you attending today do so as well, I'm guessing. Both of our organizations have invested a lot of resources up to this point to make it happen, but now hospitals need to come to the table en masse to provide the data. And it probably won't be enough just for, attendees today to fill out the survey. Well, that would be a good start. But each of you needs to take this up with your respective chapters and lead the effort to get your colleagues to do this as well. Are you up for this? I think you are, because I think you did it very well in 2010, and you're at that halfway point right now in terms of reaching your goal. So here are some sample speaking points that you can use to talk about your about this to your chapter's effort. First one, this is a homegrown survey. ASHE members helped create this over a 7-month period under, as I mentioned earlier, Michael Hatton's leadership. I can tell you this is probably the most sophisticated Excel survey that we've ever seen here at EPA, and I think that's saying a lot given that the number of associations that we work with. The survey will update the ENERGY STAR score for hospitals and hopefully revive the certification that we have for medical office buildings. It's in everyone's interest to take the survey because ENERGY STAR scores are the basis on which thousands of you make your investment decisions, verify the effectiveness of your upgrade projects, and make the business case to your C-suite. Scores are easy to understand, they're simple to generate, and this is voluntary. And they're free of charge in Portfolio Manager. No costs are associated with setting up an account. That's why we think 85% of the hospital market has benchmarked in Portfolio Manager. And ENERGY STAR certification certainly is a goal for so many of you, and the way to earn it is certainly through all the hard work that you've done in upgrading over time. And it's a certification that is recognized by 85% of Americans, and that complies with rigorous government standards. And then finally, the survey comes out of a very productive relationship that has spanned over 20 years. And ASHE wants to maintain it. And this survey is a win for ASHE, for public health, and for the environment. And the last one here is ENERGY STAR scores could be retired if hospitals don't maintain them through periodic surveys like this. Feel free to say this if you think that holds some weight. It certainly has a precedent with medical office buildings. So use everything that you can to get this message across about the importance of this survey. And then finally, we're asking for all the chapters to commit to delivering at least 10 hospital and 10 medical office building surveys. That's going to help us with the geographical distribution requirement that I mentioned earlier. We recommend contacting at least 40 of your chapter members, and then count on maybe a 50% response rate to get to that 20 survey goal. So consider pacing yourself and calling maybe 10 or 20 people per week for the next several weeks, and then use your charm and anything else legal to get a commitment from them to fill out the survey. And then as a as a bonus, you can remind them that they can earn 2 contact hours for completing a survey, or 0.2 CEU, which I understand is capped at 10 contact hours or 1 CEU for these surveys. There's also a $250 gift card raffle for everyone who submits a survey. And then finally, this probably goes without saying, but I would recommend filling out the survey yourself on your facility so that you can speak about it firsthand with your colleagues. So with that, it is 1:30. I have one more slide to turn right. So feel free to contact me if you have any follow-up or further questions. And Sun, if you feel like unmuting the lines, we can maybe go through a little Q&A if there's any.
Yep. Everybody's is unmuted, so if you have any questions, speak up. Ask Clark.
The presentation will be available so that we can share that with chapters, right?
Yes. This is recorded, so we'll have the presentation itself and this webinar recorded with it too on ASHE chapter website.
Excellent.
Well, great. If there are no questions, then let's wrap it up.
I have a question.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Hi, Sun. If people submitted applications previously in 2016, will they be considered for the CEU points? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, they will. Anybody in the past who submit surveys already will get their CEUs once we start processing these surveys and formalizing the data.
Okay. And does it have to be, if the previous survey that was submitted was not complete, will you be allowed to resubmit maybe a more complete application now that there's more time?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Any other questions? All right. With that said, I appreciate everybody being here today. The session is recorded and will be posted on the ASHE webinar on the ASHE chapter website, and we will post the presentation also, and we'll email it out to all the chapter leadership who are on today. All right. With that said, I guess we are ending a little bit early. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today.
Thank you.